Hey guys, it's John V here with PhoneArena. I'm live here at MWC 2018 at Samsung's Unpacked event. This is a quick comparison between the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus and the LG V30. We gotta say, we can't make up our minds just yet as to which one has the better looking design. They have a lot of great qualities about them, like their premium constructions. They have that metal meets glass finish. You have also water resistant constructions, headphone jacks. You have the fingerprint sensors placed in the back underneath the camera sensors, and they both have USB Type-C ports. Technically, the S9 Plus is both taller and thicker, while the V30 is marginally wider, but regardless of that, they're both a handful to operate. It should be noted though that the S9 Plus does feature dual speakers, which are tuned by AKG, and they offer support for Dolby Atmos. Since they're very similar in size, the specs of their displays are going to be nearly identical to one another. The S9 Plus flaunts a 6.2-inch 1440 by 2960 Super AMOLED display, while the V30 has a 6-inch 1440 by 2880 plastic OLED display. Technically speaking, the V30 has the higher pixel density count, but you really wouldn't be able to tell the difference when you look at them. And seeing that they leverage OLED technology, they have very similar qualities, like their exceptional details, they have wide view angles, and those saturated looking colors. But if you're very meticulous, you'll probably notice the bluish tinge with the V30's display when tilted at wide angles. Moving on to the respective user interfaces, they both sport very clean looking UIs. They're not really heavily skinned, which is great, but we do find that the S9 Plus does have a few more features than what you're going to get in the LG V30. Yes, the core features between the two are going to be identical, so as far as productivity getting stuff done, they're just about the same, but like I said earlier, you're going to find a few more features with the S9 Plus. Take for example the new AR emoji feature that creates a 3D avatar of yourself, as well as the desktop-like experience with Samsung DeX. Of course, when you're the newer handset, you're bestowed with newer hardware as well, and that's what we see here because the S9 Plus is powered by the Qualcomm Snapdragon 845 chip, whereas with the LG V30, it's using last year's Qualcomm Snapdragon 835. Superficially, you're not going to notice a whole lot of difference, and that's what we saw checking out the two phones, but naturally, the Snapdragon 845 does offer some new optimizations that should help it out in the long run. They both offer rear dual cameras, but their implementations are totally different from one another. On the V30, you have a 16 megapixel sensor paired with a wide-angle 13 megapixel one. It essentially delivers wider coverage when it comes to shooting photos and videos. Meanwhile, the S9 Plus features dual 12 megapixel cameras, and it's really meant to produce those portrait shots with bokeh in the background. On top of that, the S9 Plus pushes things a little bit more because of its varying aperture. It delivers an astounding wide aperture of f1.5, which edges out the V30's aperture of f1.6. Now this should technically result in a better low-light performance for the S9 Plus, but until we get our hands on the handset, it's really tough to say for sure. The V30 does offer a compelling package when it comes to video because it's one of the few to offer true manual video controls, which is something that content creators will really appreciate. And that wide-angle lens does come in handy to offer some intriguing perspectives that you can't get on other phones. But when it comes to slow motion, the S9 Plus edges out the V30 because it captures it at 960 frames per second at 720p, whereas with the V30, it's at 240 frames per second at 720p. The LG V30 has been out for a little bit, and right now you could pick it up for around $800. Now, as far as the S9 Plus is concerned, it's expected to range somewhere between $840 to $930, depending on the carrier. When you factor how the S9 Plus is flaunting some newer hardware, the minuscule difference you see between the price of the V30 and the lowest cost of the S9 Plus almost seems insignificant. It would appear as though the S9 Plus would be the better buy at that point. But actually, there are things to consider before making a final decision. If you're big into photography, we're inclined to say the S9 Plus because of that, but if you're into video, then the V30 should be an option for you. It'll just be a matter of time before we could really pass judgment about it. And that's our quick comparison between these two handsets. If you guys want to learn more about them, you can check out our website, PhoneArena.com. This is John V, signing off.